Hey guys, John here, and I'm here to talk about the cutscene movie version of the popular game, The Last of Us. Now, just to be clear, I'm not reviewing the game per se, I'm reviewing the cutscenes that have been pieced together into a movie format that you can find on YouTube. Now, some of you might remember last week I did a review of Injustice 2, the cutscene movie, and the reason I'm doing these cutscene movie reviews, if you will, is for two reasons. Reason number one, I want to try to inspire you guys that if you watch these movies on YouTube, that you may be inspired to run out and get the game and give the game the full gameplay experience that these games deserve. But number two, I want to kind of introduce people that there's this whole other form of entertainment out there, because these cutscene movies, even though they're pulled right out of video games, can be really engaging and entertaining to watch from a storytelling perspective if you give them a chance. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about The Last of Us. Now, the story on its surface looks like a stereotypical and prototypical zombie apocalypse movie. The game is published by Naughty Dog, and it takes place starting in 2013 with the outbreak of a virus that turns people who get infected into these mindless zombie killing machines that they call the Infected. Now, yes, I know that's not properly zombies per se, but they're zombies. Now, I say on the surface it looks like your stereotypical and prototypical zombie movie, but it's not. This is a story and a movie, if you will, and just so we know, I'm just going to refer to it as a movie. You all know I'm talking about the cutscenes, but we're just going to call it a movie. The movie is anything but your stereotypical zombie apocalypse movie. This movie is built on character and on human experience and human journey in an inexplicably powerful and deep way that you just wouldn't expect from video gameplay. It's got excitement, it's got heart, it's got emotion, it's got you sitting on the edge of your seat one moment and fighting back tears the next. You might expect the excitement part in a zombie movie, but what this story gives you was really unexpected, and I mean that in the best possible way. So the story begins with this character Joel, who in 2013 was in Austin when the outbreak begins, and it really follows him throughout the story, but it starts with him suffering an unimaginable, powerful, and emotional loss. When the story then fast forwards 20 years later, you can understand why Joel, this great guy, has lost that spark of humanity, has lost really a bit of his soul, and in many ways, like many great heroic characters, he's lost his way. So you basically have this tyrannical government and a whole lot of anarchic nonsense going on in the world, and then you've got this one like resistance group that we get introduced to called the Fireflies. They play a very important role. And it's in this 20 years in the future when we're reintroduced to Joel, who now with his partner Tess kind of survive by being scavengers in the quarantine zone of Boston. Now, in the midst of doing their scavenging and smuggling and doing all the things that they do to survive, they come across Marlene, who is the leader of the resistance group, the Fireflies. And Marlene basically offers them this can't pass up deal. I will give you a ton of weapons and contraband that you want and all this kind of stuff if you just take this girl with you to this place that I need her to go. That's a pretty long distance away. But where the real crux of the story picks up is when they find out that Ellie is actually infected with the virus and has not turned. Apparently in the game, like once you get bit, you turn infected within a day or two, and she was bit 3 weeks ago and yet has survived. The Fireflies believe that she is the key to finding a cure for the infected and ultimately saving the world. And that is essentially the start of The Last of Us. It sets the path of the story, and this story is incredible. Like I said, the real beauty of The Last of Us from a storytelling point of view is that it doesn't fall into the stereotypical tropes of what a classic zombie film is. It's not just about, oh no, there are zombies, run, 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 run until we can lock ourselves behind a door. It focuses the story really right off the bat on characters, on Joel, on Ellie, on what's going on in the world, on this group, the Fireflies, on the people that they come across. And as they go through the story, like really good stories do, you discover new layers, new parts of emotion, new attributes to these characters as they grow and change themselves because of the experience they encounter. On that level, I can tell you that The Last of Us is probably the absolute, bar none, best example of narrative storytelling I've ever come across in a video game. Because I've always said lots of video games have decent stories, but video games aren't designed to be narrative storytelling. They're designed for great gameplay. The Last of Us breaks that barrier and gives us really a true Hollywood world-class kind of story. And it's not just because we come across this character Joel who loses a part of his soul and humanity because of this incredible loss he suffered 20 years ago. It's about this gradual rediscovering of his humanity, about that spark of life reigniting into him because of the people and other special individuals that he comes across in this journey. In particular, this little 14-year-old girl, Ellie, who really ultimately changes his life. It's that story of of people changing and growing while trying to do something heroic and discovering that the pains and the hurts inside them can start to be overcome. That's the part that really sucks you into the story and gets you there. And speaking of getting you there, the ending of the film honestly kind of caught me off guard. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but it's not your stereotypical ending either. And yet it's beautifully consistent with the nature of the game and how the game kind of looks at human nature in really an introspective kind of way. So look, first and foremost, I'm going to encourage you, run out, if you haven't done it before, run out and play The Last of Us. If you have played it before, or if you haven't, you just don't think you've got the time, I highly encourage you, jump on YouTube, find a version, whether you want a 6-hour version or a 3-hour version or the 4+ hour version that I watched, and just watch the story because it is so entertaining, it's engaging, it's just as good as sitting home on a Saturday afternoon and popping in a good movie. Just turn on YouTube and watch this sucker. I give The Last of Us, on a pure story point of view, 9.5 out of 10. I think you're going to love it. So that'll do it for me for this kind of look at The Last of Us, the story mode, if you will. What did you think about the story of The Last of Us? Have you played the game? If so, jump into the comments below and leave me your thoughts. Is there a better version that you think people should watch that you would recommend? Leave a link to it in the comments section below. Hey, do me a favor. Make sure to take a second, stop, and just click the subscribe button, and also leave a comment and let me know what other types of videos you'd like to see me do in the near future. So that'll do it for me. Make sure you follow me on social media, on Facebook or on Twitter, simply @John Campea. That'll do it for us. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.